Please get to your seats. We want to get started. Martin? Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. I just have to announce to everyone that only delegates and alternates substituting for a delegate can sit in the designated area, and others, please sit with the residents, which would be over there. So delegates are here, residents are there. Bertha?
Yes, we're 52.
So we have a quorum. Okay, thank you. Alan, could you please approve for the previous minutes?
The minutes of the March Cobrua Delegates meeting were published in the Cobrua Reporter. Has anyone found an omission, correction, or addition to those printed minutes? Are there any objections to accepting the minutes as published in the Cobrua Reporter? Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Okay, now I just wanted to say a few words. And during the election, I didn't have an opportunity to make an acceptance speech, so I just wanted to say a few words about that. Okay? So I would like to take this opportunity to thank the delegates and residents for placing your confidence and trust in me to serve as your president of Cobrua. This is a responsibility that I do not take lightly, and I will endeavor to represent Cobrua and the residents to the best of my ability always. It's been a challenging year. A lot has passed, and it will continue for a while with the mandates and things of that nature. And before we progress on to the next, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to everyone that has supported me. And those of you that did not support me, that's okay. I'm your president too. I would also like to take this moment to thank our outgoing president, Mike Lemongelli, who I see is here. The present success of Cobrua would not have been possible without his leadership and for all his contributions and the hard work that he put in these past years. I think he deserves a round of applause. With the strong support of our executive board, we will all strive to make a difference. Okay, Lynn, would you please do the treasurer's report?
Yes. Last month in our checking account, the balance was $20,221. Our CD is $28,760 for a total of $48,982. Last month's balance was $51,132. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Would the budget director, Stanley Siegel, please provide your report? Okay, thank you. Okay. The M&O committee, Stanley, do you have a report?
We took care of the technicalities. The microphone was off. Good morning. The M&O Committee met with management on Wednesday, March 20th. Present for management with Judy Milliken, the Vice President, the Site Administrator, Monica Wells, Senior VP and Chief Financial Officer for Senville, Abby Koffler, Entertainment Vice President, and Daniel Cruz, Vice President, Regional Facilities Manager. For the committee, we had present Lynn Roberts, Dave Fisher, Sid Schwartz, Susan Meltzer, Mona Lloyd, Charlie Rosenfeld, and myself. The latter three that I mentioned are newly elected members to the committee. Here are the highlights of the committee. The renovation in front of the clubhouse is completed. Next year's budget will include taking on the painting of the bricks. There are some minor cleanup projects on the roadway which will be taken care of. We discussed putting rumble sticks in the roadways to slow down the speeders in the village. This we will review at budget time. We are waiting for a report regarding putting in gates at the exits to the village, and this will be done by an engineer. We are also waiting for a traffic survey from a representative from the GL staff, or who works for the GL staff, regarding alleviating traffic problems in the village. Ticket sales for the new season are going well. For the past season, we had a profit, which was very good. We priced tickets for the up-and-coming season. We kept in line most of the tickets prices, with a couple of minor exceptions for those who raised their fees. We reviewed security, alleviating the traffic backups at the entrances to the village, and this is an ongoing process, and we're working on this. Due to the rising cost of the air conditioning filters, the smaller conditioners will go up from $7 to $12, the larger ones from $8 to $14. Shopping carts on buses have been creating problems. We are asking riders to get the cloth type carts to help make some more room in the aisleways. We've asked Academy to prepare a ridership count so we can decide if modifications are necessary to our bus schedule. Questions came up about crime in the village. From the Sheriff's Department, we learned that crime in the village is less than 1%, very little violent crimes taking place here. Any questions regarding the report?
Thank you, Stanley.
Wait a minute. Where's the Sergeant at Arms? Sergeant at Arms recognizes the individuals making or asking questions. I'm not the Sergeant at Arms. I was only a corporal in the Army.
Stanley, quick question. What does it mean when you say 1%? 1% of what?
Compared to the county.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Suzanne Cheever, Newcastle. I had turned in a request at the desk about not painting the brick. And so I hope that that is getting considered, besides the cost, obviously, of painting the brick. I think that the red matches the roof, just from a complete, just from a design point of view. The roof is red. All of our awnings in the back of the building are red, and the paint back there, it kind of matches the front of the building by having the red near the pool in the back. Anyway, I gave a long list of reasons, besides the fact that it will be depressing and we will never unpaint the brick. So because of the costs involved, I made many arguments about why we should not paint the brick.
Your comments are duly noted on the record.
Richard Diamond from Suffolk. If anybody walks around, rides around and sees other communities and communities that are going up, beige and tan, and what she's calling red is not actually red, is the old days. Century Village is modernizing. So the reason the rest is being done gray, to make it more contemporary of what's going on all around. It will help prices go up more because you won't look so old-fashioned. If you look at the synagogue, I commend them. They did that a while ago, and their roof is also, I won't use the word red, but a brownish kind of red. That's my opinion.
Mark Hoffman, Newcastle. I also agree. I think it'd be a big mistake painting the brick. You paint the brick, you're going to have to do it every few years or it's going to look terrible. It's going to be a big expense now. It's going to be a bigger expense every time we have to redo it. If you don't like the color combination, Battleship Gray went out in World War II. Okay, we can always paint the outside white instead of gray if we have to change the color combination. But otherwise, it can look fine like this. The brickwork looks great. I don't see any reason to waste the money on painting the brick and then redoing it every couple of years because you're going to have to.
Duly noted on the record.
Elaine Harris, hi. I'm listening to what everybody's saying about the brick and the different opinions, and I'm wondering how that final decision is going to be made, because it sounds like it's worthy of more discussion. I would certainly come in at the moment, from what I've heard, saying, don't paint the brick. So when is this decided, and how much does it cost, and is it in the budget already, and can it be altered?
My comment in the report was it's being taken up in the next budget session for the up and coming year, October through November of the next year.
And how will it be decided?
The committee will review it and make a decision.
Yeah. Larry Krakauer, Exeter. Yes, I agree that brick should not be painted. Once it's painted, it's not maintenance-free anymore. And as far as the gray goes, in my opinion, I really think it's very depressing looking. And I think I'm sorry, but I think it was a mistake to make it that color. I think the almond looked much better with the brick before. Thank you.
Milton Fishburger, Cornwall. My only comment on this is the price. How much is this going to cost? Any idea?
When we take up the budget, we'll get a proposal on what the cost will be.
Okay, so I want everybody...
As of today, I don't know what the cost will be.
Okay. I'm sure it's not going to be inexpensive because unfortunately nothing is anymore. But there's an ongoing cost which Mark Hoffman stated. And you're really talking about repainting it constantly. The color that you have right now, the plain brick, you don't have to touch anymore. But whatever color you choose, whether it's gray or green or whatever, you're going to have to keep, that's an ongoing cost that this village is going to be responsible for and the unit owners are going to be responsible for the foreseeable future. And so I hope you take that into account.
That's all taken into consideration when we review the budget and we get the costs and take everything in and decide what we're going to do. So as of today, there's no decision. Any other comments? Thank you.
Okay, Stan, you have anything for community affairs?
Right now, we're just waiting for some reports regarding the traffic situation in the village and a report for what's going on with the West Boca Council, which will have a meeting tonight at the library on 441, but otherwise, nothing exceptional to report.
Okay, thank you, Stan. Okay, Regina, do you have anything for Hotwire? No, you're here, so
Nothing new to report as of yet.
okay, thank you. Okay, the Bylaws Committee, Alan, do you have anything?
Two meetings are required to consider a recently proposed amendment. This is considered the first of those two meetings. The bylaws state that after the president has served 2 consecutive terms, he or she may not run for a 3rd term, and furthermore, that same person may not run for first vice president or second vice president. An amendment was proposed to the bylaws to eliminate those restrictions, and by taking those 3 restrictions out, that would enable the president to run again just like any one of the other officers. So that's what the amendment was about, and the delegates are being asked to consider it after the Bylaws Committee considered it and very seriously talked it over and decided that it wasn't a good idea and that the amendment should not be adopted and that the bylaws should remain as they are. And when they recommended that to the council of, to the executive board said, well, thank you for the advice, but we would like to consider it and take it up anyway. So they said, bring it to the delegates. So now it's at the delegates. Last month, somebody started a discussion and we had to cut it off because it was out of order. It wasn't supposed to have been done last month. It's supposed to be done now. So now is a chance for anyone here who has an opinion and wishes to express it. Otherwise, at the next meeting, this is April, so at the May meeting, we'll take a vote on it.
Thank you, Alan. Someone have a question? Yeah.
Mark Hoffman in Newcastle. I strongly oppose the amendment, and I go with the Bylaws Committee and said don't do it, and I strongly oppose it.
I agree with them, totally.
Thank you. Sid, you have something to add?
I have no comment on the bylaw change itself, but just so there's no question in the future, there is a typographical error in this sheet that you were all handed, and I direct your attention to where it reads Article 5, Section 5, the next to the last line, where it reads, cannot run for office of president and/or first. It should be or second vice president for a minimum of 2 years. And with that correction, I think that's the way it should be submitted. Thank you.
Is there any other questions? Carolyn, do you have a report for Cobrua? Oh, I'm sorry. Good.
My name is Milton Fishberger, and I'm the president of the Cornwall Association. I'm also the vice president on Cobra Committee. And one of the things that I pushed very strongly on the Cobra Committee was term limits. I cannot conceive why a rule that we've had since the inception of Cobrua is going to be changed. I totally don't agree with the change of this rule. I think term limits are fine, they're healthy, and it's a good democratic way to keep our organization going, rather than having individuals constantly, the same people. And I'm not saying anything, I'm glad that there are new people on the board, but I strongly believe that term limits for the president should be in effect the way it has been for all of the past years. It's worked. I don't know why this thing all of a sudden has come to the forefront, but I would vote against it. And I hope that the people who are sitting here the delegates, including myself, will vote against it. Thank you so much.
Carolyn, do you have something? Oh, I don't want to say quick. I'm sorry.
Elaine Harris, hi. I agree with everybody else who's spoken so far. I'm also opposed to passing this amendment, but more importantly, Alan, I didn't understand Sid's correction because it's in the strikeout portion, and also, where is the formal reading? Is this formal reading number 1? And if so, there has to be a reading of it. So.
There was an F instead of an R typed, and it's supposed to say first or second, and instead it says first of second, which makes no sense.
Okay, that's in the strikeout part. So again, I'm concerned that we haven't even heard a reading of what the new amendment would say that you're going to ask us to vote on after next.
Okay. We simply presume that reproducing the sheet and having 77 copies and one on everybody's chair constituted the reading of the amendment. However, if you disagree, and the vast majority of the delegates agree that they would like to hear it read out loud, then we will be pleased to do that for you.
I think that's why it goes that way. It's supposed to be read because you can't assume anything. So it's in writing, it's advised people ahead of time, and then it has to be read out loud. Yes, I would.
Why don't you just make a happy and read it?
It's not so much about being happy.
You know, we all have eyes, and we all can see,
Susan,
and we all read it. We could all
Susan.
read it.
Okay.
Yeah, whether or not it's required, it certainly is allowable, and so I will be pleased to read it out loud, if you don't mind listening to my voice and my accent. Amendment to Article 5, Offices of Amended and Restated Bylaws of the Century of Boca Raton Umbrella Association, known as Cobrua. Interesting, Cobrua is all capital letters because it's not a word. It's an acronym. Each of those letters stands for something. Century of Boca Raton Umbrella Association. So every time you see it printed with small letters, it's a mistake. Whereas, at a duly called and noticed meeting of the delegates of the Century of Boca Raton Umbrella Association, held on April 9th, 2024, Section 5 of the amended and restated bylaws were amended as follows. The term of office for all officers shall be 2 years, provided that they shall continue to serve until their successors are elected and installed. The following paragraph is to be struck out. The President shall not serve more than 2 consecutive elected terms. After 2 consecutive elected terms, the President cannot run for office of President and or first or second Vice President for a minimum of 2 years. That's what's in there now, and the proposal is to strike that out and eliminate it. Except as the bylaws are amended and provided herein, each and every one of the terms and provisions, sorry about that typo, of the bylaws shall remain unmodified and shall continue in full force and effect. That means this is the only change being made. All capitalized terms that are not defined herein shall have the definition given to them in the bylaws. Although not reproduced here, the bylaws has a whole section of definitions for people to look up what the words mean. and this will be dated April 9, 2024. Thank you for your patience.
I think it gets dated in May.
May.
At the second reading. I'm simply pointing out that it'll be dated May, whatever the date of our meeting is. That's
Yes.
why it's blank here.
The presumption is it'll be, quote, read, unquote, again in May, and then the May date will be inserted. Note that the date is blank right now, so we're not making any errors yet.
I would like to point out, just to Susan's point about happiness, just you have to address the fact that some people may not be able to read, and it may not be known so. So that's the reasoning behind the bylaws calling for things like this. You can't make assumptions. That's what the rule book is for, and that's why I keep harping on all of you about bylaws and that they should be followed to the letter. It's the rule book that says how we work, and you don't just change them willy-nilly because you feel like it. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. That's why I'm glad there were 77 delegates.
That's it. Okay. Yes.
Wait a minute, let the sergeant know.
Ted Levine from Exeter. As in regards to the reading of the bylaws, there are delegates that aren't here yet. This is videotaped and put on the portal. If we don't read it, people can't hear it. They don't have the paperwork in front of them to read. We're going to have another meeting with delegates, give them the opportunity at least to hear it when they watch the video. And I think that should be a standard rule for anything that's in writing. It should be read so it's officially in the records for people who are audio absent from here, and they can see it on the portal and hear it.
Good point. Anybody else?
Larry Krakauer, Exeter. I believe that the church term limit is good enough for the President of the United States. I think it's good enough for us. Thank you.
Arthur Harris, if you just take a look, regardless of your individual politics or political stance, but if you just look at the totality of the dysfunctional U.S. government because of no term limits, it's mind-boggling. Nothing gets done. Thank you.
Next question.
Is that it, Bertha? Okay, Carolyn, you want to do the Cobra report?
Yes, thank you. The Cobra Group conducted our third village-wide presentation on March 1st in the theater. To help improve attendance, we did robocalls the day before. After the presentation, we distributed copies of the slides as attendees left the theater, and all owners' residents with emails on file with First Service received an email with the slide presentation later that same day. We estimated approximately 500 to 600 attendees. The Cobra Group recently had a meeting to meet Mark Levy so that our new board could get to know him. We were pleased with the outcome of the meeting, and so far, he has been agreeable to ideas our attorneys have presented to him. We continue to discuss ideas on how to improve owner participation in these presentations going forward. How to communicate to all of you the answer to the question, how much will this cost me? So we're coming up with some solutions, and we'll be distributing that hopefully soon. You'll see additional questions and answers in the upcoming May and June Cobrua Reporter, and we are sourcing strategic professional partners to assist us with the many aspects of this transaction. Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Carolyn. Okay, the security report, Chief Jody.
Good morning, my name is Jody, representing United Security, and this is our monthly report for March 2024. For miles patrolled, we had 6,109. Pre-authorized calls, 7,330. Commercial vehicles, 474. Elevator rescue and malfunction, and this is for the entire village. We had 8. Auto accidents, 1. Welfare check, 6. And fire, 2. Any questions for me?
Susan Ortsman, President. As I was coming through the gate, whether it be north or south, I've seen pickup trucks getting off the line, because it was a long line, going into where the residents will go, pull out, I guess it's a license, show it to the guard opens the gate and lets them in.
Can you tell me one of your incidents, a date, so I can review the cameras?
I was-
Certain trucks do come in, so I need to know, even if it's a date, I'll check the whole date.
I can't, you know what happened? It happened a month ago, but I was here, but I was in the back with the elections, and I was going to bring it up, but you were already gone. So I will note it in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Jody. Mona Lloyd, Dorset. Thank you for the expanded information. My question, and I guess it's just because I don't know, you mentioned welfare checks. I'm unclear because recently I got into a discussion with some other residents, and we were led to believe that you don't do welfare checks. Is there a criteria for doing that?
We don't go inside the units. We do go and knock on the door. If the blinds are open, we tend to try to see if there's a resident possibly on the ground or things look discombobulated, but we don't go inside. And if it's the case where there's a foul smell, we then contact 911. So we do welfare checks, just not inside the units.
Understood. Thank you.
Larry Krakauer, Exeter. First of all, I wanted to comment on the security guard who's at the front door now. It's really a pleasure. When you come in, she gives you a big smile.
Thank you.
And also, I'd like to know if a delivery truck is blocking your spot, and they're there for a while, who do you call?
You call security.
Thank you.
Elaine Harris, hi. I was speaking to one of the vendors, this goes to what Susan was talking about, who was providing a service at my apartment. And he said that he has a special pass. And I just wondered if regular, I'm not sure vendor is the word I want, supplier of services, the exterminator, the plumber, whatever, do they get a pass that lets them go on this?
They don't get a pass. Certain vendors are on the preferred vendors list, so it depends on the vendor. If you give me a name, I can verify with you because I have a list in my office.
So preferred lenders are
preferred vendors.
Vendors,
yes,
are able to go in the owner's lane.
If the lines are long, security will direct them there.
And they have something that identifies them as such.
Their ID, it says the company's name.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One Fish from Rexford. So how does one become a preferred vendor?
Speak with Miss Billington. Miss Judy Millington, speak with her.
She's not here.
Any other questions?
Hi, Robert Nucci, Brighton. speaking of the accidents, how many? 8 accidents? Were there one?
One auto accident.
Oh, was anyone injured?
No.
That's all I needed to know.
Thank you. If there's no other questions, before I finish, I would like to ask residents to continue using the auto system. It has been helping the gates with the traffic flow a lot. Please use the pedestrian walkway. What's happening is we have a few residents that are not using the pedestrian walkway, and the guests, residents, whoever is coming out of the village, they're speeding. We're trying not to get you guys to get hit. At the same time, I'm trying to not have my guards get hit by sending them out there. When they go out there, the residents are also being rude to them. If the guards are telling you to get out the road, it's not because we want you to take the long way, it is for your safety. Please use the pedestrian walkway. Pedestrian walkers on the weekends especially, please remember to use your Central Village ID. Bring it with you, please, even if you have to put it in your back pocket. We heard your concerns from the last meeting about people coming into the village. I do not want my guards to make a familiar face entrance. If you leave the village and you don't have your ID, you're going to have issues getting back in because the guards don't know who you are. Please bring your IDs. As a reminder, do not give your Central Village IDs to guests. Don't give it to your kids. We are confiscating the IDs. And then you guys have to come to the office, the information desk, the ID office, or myself, to get it back. Last week we confiscated 7. Resident guests should not be using your ID as privilege to enter the village. The guards are confiscating them at the gates and turning them in. Also, another issue that we're having that I wanted to bring to your attention with the Ubers, and this is not a security issue, when you guys request an Uber on the app that they use, if you put in your address, a lot of times it's not pinning your address. So when the Uber gets to the gate, say you live at 156 Suffolk, the app sometimes will say 155. So when the Uber driver gets to the gate, they're going to tell us 155. The guard is going to call 155. Then we're having issues because your Uber is not getting let in. If you can text the app, because you're able to text the app and just verify with the Uber, hey, this is my address for confirmation. So when they get to the gate, we don't have that hassle. It's not happening for all the associations, but for now we've confirmed 4 of them. And it's the satellite connecting with the app that they use, and we can't do nothing about it. But if you guys can help us out by just verifying with them, so we don't have this issue at the gate. One more thing, the protocol for the residence lane remains the same. If you come to the residence lane and your decal does not work, you have to present an ID. We are not the only village that uses decals, and we're not trying to let anyone that says, I have a decal into the village. Just present an ID so we can verify who you are, and you'll get let in. We also want to encourage you, if your decal isn't working, to go to the ID office to ensure that it's active so you're able to come through the gate. And please slow down when you're coming to the laser to scan the decal so we can scan it properly. If you try to tailgate with another vehicle, it's not going to work. That's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jody. Is there any old business? I guess not. Okay. I have some new business that I just want to go over. Recently, Carolyn and I, we met with the police department, Palm Beach County Police Department, Captain Moss. They called us. They wanted to do a meet and greet because they heard that I'm the new guy in town. So we got together with them, with another woman also. Her name was Leslie Schreiber, Government Affairs Coordinator, Community Engagement, PBC Sheriff's Office, and Captain Moss, Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. He is the person that takes care of Century Village. So the purpose of the meeting was to meet each other in light of the recent Cobrua election, as there has been a good working relationship between the PBC, Sheriff's Office, and also, with the captain boss, who was in charge again, as I said, of the territory that includes us. Conversations that we had included several things, topics including general security issues, the former Citizens Patrol and the PBC Sheriff's interest in starting up the program again. Clarification that the local non-emergency number to call is 561-688-3400. So they are willing to come in and make various presentations, and that's something that we're going to look at going down the road. And I am going to we're going to consider, okay, the COPS program, going back to that, to have a little bit more security. More security never hurts. And, okay, next. As your president, one of my responsibilities, okay, is to appoint committees to do the work of Cobrua. So I am working on that now with Carolyn, and we've had other people that have given some input as well. And I hope we'll have our 2024 committees in place by next month. Now, what I realized after looking at the bylaws of Cobrua, there is nothing that discusses committees. And I've read it a few times looking for it, and I thought there's something. But there's nothing that really discusses or outlines what the criteria is to be on a committee. So what I would like to do, and this is something I've said from the beginning, I'd like to get people involved. So yes, presidents are going to be on committees, but also want to consider delegates, directors, residents that may have something to offer, people that have some talent to offer us, okay, so we can go forward into the future and do the right thing. So I don't think it should just be divorced to us, but also have other people involved that want to get involved for the betterment of the community, basically. Lastly, there is we received a letter from the government, okay, that we have to do a census. And by the way, the census is actually the law. I want to say it again, it's the law. So we don't really have a choice of how, I read through this a couple times. We don't have a choice that we could just walk away and not do it. And so I'm not sure when it's going to begin, but basically they're going to be knocking on doors when it starts, and they're going to, ask you questions about who's residing in this unit or that unit, how many people, whatever. We've been through this before. I know I've been through it here in the past. Is there any questions about any of that?
When is this going to be?
I don't know. I don't have a date.
And what kind of committees are you doing?
We have a whole list of committees, so that's something we could go over at another time. But there's a lot of different committees, and if you're interested in any, I'll be happy to go over it with you. Okay, if you're interested in, a committee, we can talk about it. Ted, where are you?
Elaine Harris, Height.
Oh.
With regard to the census, the paperwork I read on it, I know there's a census every year that ends with a 0, and that they have the right to have censuses in between. Did they specify on this one what information they're looking for? It's not a 10-year census, we know that.
No, I believe the only thing they're looking for is to find out how many people. They're doing a count. They're doing a head count, and that's what they're doing.
So again, that's by law every 10 years. I'm wondering why they're doing it in 2024. Maybe we could get that answer, please.
Well, we could look into that.
Thank you.
Anything else? Oh, I'm sorry, Ted. I'm sorry.
Just
Okay, go.
in regards to the discussions before on Cobra, a lot of important things were coming up, and you were mentioning when they would. It sounded to me that it'd be. Let me just say it this way: if we have to wait for the monthly Cobrua newspaper to get out some of these items, it doesn't work. So maybe I was waiting to see whether Maggie was still here or not, because I had these discussions with her, and it didn't go anyplace. So if Cobra has come up with something and we want people to know about it, we have to have a way of getting that out, whether it's through the presidents, through the association here, or what. But if you just look at the Cobrua newspaper, it's like 2 months behind by the time we get it versus what we've been talking about at a meeting here. So in the work going, it came to me when we talked about what was going to be happening at Cobra over the next few weeks or few months, when that information should be going out to all the people. We shouldn't wait for the Cobrua newspaper to get it out. We should have a way of getting that to all our people. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Good and welfare delegate. What? Somebody have a question? Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Charlie, I had a question for you. Diana Stillwell from Cornwall. You mentioned the committees and told somebody to let you know if they're interested in being on one, but we can't tell you if we don't know what the committees are.
Well, I understand. Okay. You can stop by my desk. I'll stay for a little while after the meeting today. And if you want to know what's available, I'll let you know. Be happy to do so.
I just want to comment, Milton Fishberger, I want to comment on the question about Cobra. There are several Cobra members sitting in this audience today, and some of them are new, some have been there a couple of years. There is only one president who is not a member of Cobra, but who shows up at all the Cobra committee meetings, and that's Mitch Schaefer from Brighton. So when people start asking about what's going on, what's next, there is an opportunity to come to those meetings. But yet, there's only one president out of all of the associations that comes to those meetings who can disseminate that information. It's amazing because it's not where you're not getting the information. We've tried to give out as much information as we can. It's a long process, and I would ask again, those presidents, and even those presidents who can't come to a meeting, they are allowed, and correct me, Sid and Caroline, you could appoint someone who is a director to come to the meetings. So if you cannot physically come to the meeting, appoint one of your directors to come to the meetings. This is not something that's so secretive here. And yet, Mitch is the only one who consistently shows up at the meetings. And yet we always hear from everyone, we don't know what's going on. Well, you have the opportunity to send a representative to the meetings. I urge you to do that. Thank you.
Yes, hi. Larry Gorbell, Brighton. The committees, could we not have a printout of the committees so we can make some choices and perhaps get some ideas?
Yeah, I'm Mitch from Brighton. Charlie, you said you had copies, so if somebody wanted to stay. Meanwhile, the meeting is now going on. I think somebody should bring the copy over to Judy Millington's office and have enough printed so everybody here can get one at the gate when they leave.
Okay, I mean, I don't see why not. Why we can't do that.
Mona Lloyd, Dorset. First of all, Charlie, thank you for, if I understood you correctly, for opening up the opportunity to, I believe, pretty much anyone to be part of a committee if they have an interest and hopefully some expertise. I support what was said back here as far as publishing that, or as far as producing that information in copies, but we have a lot of people here that may be very qualified that won't be here today to get that copy. I think we need to publish this somewhere, and we need to look for expertise that can help us on these committees that have that background that can be beneficial.
So you're saying print it in the Cobrua is what you're saying, the report.
I'm Mitch from Brighton. With what Mona's saying about getting it out, many times comments have been made here that buildings should be posted with various things. There's no reason why the buildings can't be posted. You can put them in the elevator. Every elevator here has a plastic holder. You can put it by the mailbox area. Residents go there, they look at new things. Maybe they'll see something. Maybe they'll contact somebody. And maybe somebody with some information will come forward.
Mitch, I don't disagree with you. That's something that can be done. But based on my experience, okay, as being a director for several years and then being president of Preston for 7 years. And every time we post the buildings, people don't read it. They don't, typically they don't read it. So, I mean, that could be one alternative, that we post everything, but maybe we have to look at it a couple different ways.
Helene Harris, with regard to Milt's comment about the president sending a rep to the Cobra meeting, you have limited it to we can only send another director, and I'd like to ask that you open that up, that I can send any resident of my association to rep my association. I don't know why it's limited to directors.
At this point, I don't have a copy with me, but it's in the bylaws. It's stated and such. So at this point, we're going to follow the bylaws. So executive board members, so presidents can attend the meeting. They can identify an elected officer, which is a director in their organization, to attend in their absence, should they not be able to attend. It's in the bylaws, so we're following the bylaws. Thanks for the question.
Suzanne Cheever, Newcastle. I'm just going back to the census, which sounds like old news now. But we want to be sure that everyone in the village understands when the census is done that they're supposed to be, answering their door to that or answering the questions. So we'll have to do some publicity that shows that it's a legitimate question they're being asked. Also, obviously, we're a seasonal zone here, so doing it in the middle of the summer is never going to work.
If I can add, please. We also, SenWest also is aware of the possibility of census workers coming, so they will give a proper authority to security at the gates. So that will also be one way that we can ensure that they're legitimate census workers. Oh, in terms, so you're asking about the residents? Well, yeah. I think we can put it into the next Cobrua Reporter. Their deadline is due 2 days from now, I think. And channel 63 and channel 1075 would be our options. Thanks.
So Mike Mona Lloyd again from Dorset. I'm not sure that I understand, and I think the question's already been asked, the information required on the census. Will they be doing a mailing first to give us an opportunity to respond by mail? And I don't know that it's wise and a good security practice to just say, open your door because somebody may be from the Census Department. I think we need more information and better understanding of when this is going to happen, whether we'll have the opportunity to respond by mail. That way we could avoid just opening our doors to people we don't know, and understand what they're going to be asking us. So the when and the what and kind of the why, I think, is important. And if we can respond by mail, I would much prefer to respond by mail than have some stranger at my door asking me personal questions.
Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read the letter that we received. This was received by Judy Milligan, okay? As submitted by Title 13, Section 141, 193, and 221 of the United States Code, the U.S. Census Bureau conducts surveys each month to provide statistics on topics such as unemployment, education, income, health, and housing. And Title 11 includes a provision that addresses the assistance of property managers in completing this work. Surveys conducted by the Census Bureau include the occupants of randomly selected living quarters throughout the country. The property units in Boca Raton, Florida, is a part of an official survey sample. Our census interviewer, Christine Cattergy, needs to speak with residents at Mansfield F, I, and L. Sample households within the property until their work is completed. So the interviewers are official representatives of the U.S. Department of Commerce and the Bureau of the Census. They have official identification cards in their possession. All information collected by an interviewer is confidential by law. So if you have any further questions, please call Christian Catarigi, I'm sorry, I'm probably messing up her name, at 561-929-1195. And on a regional office is 1-800. Okay. So we trust, you will extend our Census Bureau employee the privilege of entering the permission, and that may be necessary in the performance of their official duties until you will cooperate with them when necessary. Thank you in advance for your attention in this matter.
Charlie, I think that we need to get clarification. I have personally, it's Mona again from Dorset, I've personally participated in census surveys as you're describing this, and it's been telephone interaction where they've called, identified themselves, and asked for information. So, I mean, they may be coming to visit, but I would be surprised if some of this isn't done by phone. That's what I've been personally involved in the past.
I remember having actually people coming from the census in the past and actually knocked on the door and asked various questions.
Well, they did, and that's to the previous comment on the 0 years, every 10 years. I have a few friends that do census work. Okay. And I know they've certainly responded door to door when people have not responded by mail. But I also know I have responded by mail, and then I've been asked if I would give permission to do a survey for additional information in a select population of people. So I'm not so convinced that that's not some type of a verbal survey. Maybe we need to get more information.
Okay, we can look into that. I think, and make we have a telephone number that we could call and check it out. And I apologize that for some reason it's very dark over here and I can't see the print.
I'm sorry, Diana Still again, Cornwall. Can I point out that you just said Mansfield?
Yes, Mansfield, they said Mansfield.
It's just 3 buildings at Mansfield, not everybody.
It specifically calls out 3 buildings in Mansfield K, I, and L, but there could be sampled households elsewhere in the property. So I think, it doesn't say in the letter, but I think it's related to housing where elderly populations live, which includes Century Village.
Okay, is there anything else?
Yes.
Okay.
Elaine Harris, Height. The point I think some of us are trying to make is we're not questioning the legitimacy of the census people. We're questioning if we know they're coming and some nefarious people go around posing as census workers. So we're asking for some kind of overseeing where, especially with our elderly population, who we tell all the time, don't open your door. And now we're telling them the reverse. So that's what our concern is. We're not questioning the Census Bureau being able to question us. Thank you.
Okay, as I said, we will look into this.
So if I can suggest, we'll call, we'll send a response to the presidents, and you all can pass it on to your
I'm
residents.
sorry, I'm not understanding what you're saying.
We'll call and ask questions, and then communicate to association presidents.
Then I would say as an association president, I'm not willing to take the responsibility for my 216 units to make sure that they understand exactly what's going on. It's just too many responsibilities.
Okay, it is a census, it is required, it is being blessed, I guess, by Sen West. If census wants to assess a fine, they have that in their purview to do that. It is a law to respond to census workers.
Peggy Bowers, Newcastle. Why can we not have a robocall sent out from the from our first service indicating which association the census worker will be checking on a specific day? To me, this would help the people. They would know definitely there is somebody coming today.
That's a good idea, Becky. Anyone else? Is there anyone? No. Okay. Okay, so we're going to move forward to good and welfare for delegates. If you have a question, please stand up and state your name.
You mean the residents or the delegates?
This is for the delegates. I just want to remind everyone there is a 2-minute time limit. So keep that in mind.
Good day, Regina Apostella from the Guilford Association. I didn't know if this would be good in welfare or really maybe new or old business. But I'd like to ask Cobrua, Charlie, if there is a way that you could hopefully clarify for all of the associations in regard to renovations, repairs, and what is county approved, what needs a permit. I was hoping maybe someday soon we could have somebody from the county here to put legally in writing what really and truly does need a permit and the qualifications that a contractor has to present legally to get this RCAP approved. Yes, they're association bound, but there are many technicalities like hot water heaters and things like that that are, they're with every association. It's not like just a Guilford rule. It really should be, nobody should have a tankless water heater from what I was told. I'm also told by people that have put them in that there's nothing in writing from the county to verify that. So I was hoping on certain construction that the RCAP could be renovated and Cobrua could have the county help us do that.
Okay, Regina, thank you for your question. You know, we were contacted recently by the building division, okay, and they want to come in and make a presentation covering all the things that you were just discussing, okay, and so, I mean, they've been here before, I mean, I didn't take part in it when they were here, but they do want to come, and they would like to come soon, but of course, a lot of the snowbirds are going back, so maybe the best time to do this is, you know, beginning of the new season. I don't know, so that's something we can talk about, but yes, I think all your questions would be answered, because like code enforcement and permits and, you know, things of that nature are things that are going to be covered by their presentation. And as I said, they're very anxious to come in and make a presentation. So we have okay.
If I can add to what Charlie said, because I was at that meeting, they were here quite a few years ago, the building department, code enforcement, and what have you. And we met here, it was open to everybody. We met here in the party room, and they gave an excellent presentation and answered the questions that you're asking, Regina. And I think it's an excellent idea to have them come again.
Okay. Martin?
Well, yes, following up Regina's comment, I think it would be good if you designated I think it would be good if the individual boards or presidents can draw up a list of their own questions that come up all the time, and then submit them to a designated person on Cobrua, and they can collate the questions, because otherwise it's a hit and miss issue. I myself have a lot of questions, and I think that would be good.
Okay, thank you.
Peggy Bowers, Newcastle. At our last meeting of Cobrua, you also mentioned, in light of what we're talking about, the water heater inspections and also the structural integrity of our lanais. When will that happen? Is it going to happen, or do we have to wait for this suggestion, having the engineerings come in to give us this information?
Okay, that's actually an association thing, and that's First Service would be letting us know. They would be on top of that situation, and we do communicate with them often, and they'll let us know, and then once we know, you'll know.
All right, but everybody, all of the HOAs out here at one point in time will be having these inspections, both water heater and the integrity of their lanais. Is that true? So in other words, you're saying it's only up to the association to have these inspections?
That's a SERS report. That's mandated by the state of Florida. Structural integrity report.
This is what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure, because they briefly discussed this at our last meeting here.
First Service is making all the appointments for every association.
Okay, thank you very much. And they will, of course, inform us all when this is going to happen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bertha, is there any other questions? Okay, we're going to have good and welfare for the residents. Just a reminder, there's a 2-minute limit.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. By the way, check the bylaws. There's no 2-minute limit. Alan will look it up for you. Going to the committees that you are empowered to appoint, it has been suggested that how do we know if we want to be on a committee if we don't even know what the committee is? And somebody said, why doesn't somebody run in and print some off? If the deadline on newspaper is in 2 days, why can't you get a list of those committees into the next issue of the Cobrua Reporter? That's my first comment. My second comment goes to transparency, okay? I've written a couple of letters to the Cobra Committee and have not received an adequate response. And this is the issue. The Florida statute states that unit owners may attend meetings, not just of the board, but of committees that act on behalf of the board or on behalf of the unit owners. Cobra is one such committee but then you also have these dozen or so other committees, insurance, elevator, cable, and so on. I want to be able to attend those meetings. The statute says I'm able to. But Cobrua originally said, no, we don't respect the Florida statute. We are a 617 entity, and the hell with the Florida statute. What gives you the right to say that? You can put the sign down, Alan, because it's not in the bylaws. Thank you. And why won't you allow us to have access to these meetings like they do in Century Village, West Palm Beach, where unit owners are allowed to attend every meeting, finance, operations, cable, you name it, and they're all on the website, and you can tune in and watch the video if you're a snowbird and so on. That is the definition of transparency, Carolyn, not annual meetings in the theater and president's reports. I've been to 2 meetings in my association, and President Milt Fishberger, who sits on your committee, has not mentioned one single thing about the Cobra meeting. So there's absolutely no transparency in that.
Your time is up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Eric Haltrick, Brighton. Welcome to the board, Charlie. I'm glad you were able to take over. I just had a couple of comments. First of all, mimicking Fred's words, transparency is what we're looking for over the next few years. We are looking for transparency in the M&O committee in particular. Because that's a very important aspect of this association. And we should be allowed to attend the meeting and have comments directed to that meeting. In particular, we should be allowed to have EV charging in the parking lot. It would not be an expensive endeavor. And you certainly have the power to, the electrical power to do it rather than what was stated in the last meeting by Stanley when he said that we do not have the power. One final suggestion, besides everything else, it would be a beautiful thing to be able to walk around Lake Windermere. In a regular path. I'm not sure this would not happen immediately overnight, but I would like to see that being an EV committee. I'm sorry, be a committee that would discuss the possibility of having a path around the lake away from the traffic. Again, the EV committee should also be one of your committees that you add to this list. Thank you.
Thank you.
Care, Brighton. Ever since Hotwire has arrived, I have had no ability to get the community channel. And I understand other people have had the same problem. Anybody here?
That's something that is an association issue.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
Regina's back. Do you want to answer that, Regina? Okay, Regina is going to address your question.
Hi, what association are you in? Hello? You don't have Hotwire? Okay. Okay, your issue with your community channel has nothing to do with Hotwire. You have to call Comcast. But anybody that has Hotwire having an issue, it is channel 99. On your screen will be a picture of your association. Click on the picture and your community channel will populate the same as it does for Comcast. You need to contact Comcast.
Stanley, can you address this, being the liaison for Comcast? Does she know that the channel changed? Nobody else has a problem? Do you know that the channel changed? Oh, yeah. And you've tried...
63, 99, 1075.
You have nothing to do with 99.
Well, somebody mentioned 90. It doesn't matter. It doesn't, 1075 and 63. So.
Wednesdays and Fridays. Okay.
Hi, Jeff Lerner from Fanshawe. I just wanted to clarify something that I believe you had said about opening up participation in these committees, these subcommittees, to literally anyone in the village now, which I think would be a major breakthrough. But we're at end of season, and so people are heading up north. Are you prepared to, provide access via, say, Zoom or Skype or something for people who want to participate but who aren't currently over the next several months in the village?
We can't do that now. We're not set up for that.
So really, it's not opened up there.
We can look at it at a later time.
Yeah, Bob Cantor from Hythe. When GL Homes builds on Lyons Road from both sides, it's going to be impossible or very, very difficult to travel south on Lyons Road. Is there any possibility of getting another exit out that would go onto Yamato and possibly push GL to bear some of the expense, if not all of the expense, of giving us another way out of Century Village?
GL Homes has refused to do anything on Yamato Road.
So there's nothing we can do?
Right now, the answer is no.
Thank you.
Elaine Harris, Hythe. With regard to the gentleman who just spoke a couple of seconds ago in the neon green shirt, I don't know if everybody knows, with your committees, there's a requirement you must be a unit owner and you must reside 9 consecutive months here. So if you're telling people you want them to participate, you probably need to tell them that too.
That is correct. Thank you. Is there any other questions? Is there somebody? Okay, I want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. I move to adjourn.